The Whitmore family's quarterly brunches were never about bonding. They were about benchmarking, assets, accolades, influence. This morning's gathering, held in a marble-clad penthouse overlooking downtown Miami, promised more of the same. I took my seat near the balcony, quietly sipping orange juice while my relatives performed for one another. Just picked up a beachfront condo in Stay, Bart's, Bryce said, sliding his sunglasses into his perfectly tousled hair. Neighbors with 2 pro athletes. Cute. Simone gave a melodic laugh, tapping her diamond bracelet for effect. We just closed on a chateau outside Bordeaux, vineyard included, and a helipad. I let their voices wash over me. If only they knew. Jasmine, Aunt Lorraine cooed, her tone syrupy but sharp. You've been quiet. Bryce leaned in with a smug grin. Still in that little apartment, huh? And in Orlando, no less. Simone chimed in, faux concerned. Isn't that near the theme parks? I smiled into my glass. That little apartment was actually the centerpiece of my first redevelopment deal. The property now operated under Solera Equity Group, my firm. They thought I was a renter. In truth, I was the founder and CEO. I like the location, I said simply. You're 33, Aunt Lorraine said, patting my hand like a child. Time to think about building something real. Real? Try a $1.5 billion portfolio, luxury towers, retail hubs, and yes, Whitmore Plaza itself, the very building we were sitting in. I'd acquired it 3 months ago through a blind trust they'd never trace back to me. I'm doing just fine, I said, setting down my glass, folding my napkin. For the first time all morning, they had no response. Bryce sneered, bet you can't even qualify for a mortgage. I leaned back, letting the silence stretch. In 2 weeks, renewal notices would hit their desks for commercial leases in this very building. And guess whose name would be on the letterhead? Dad finally looked up from his mimosa. Now, Bryce, not everyone's blessed with your gift for timing. Jasmine made her choices. Aunt Lorraine sighed, as though I'd walked away from some gilded destiny, maybe as an influencer or the trophy wife of a startup bro. To them, I was still the mystery, too quiet, too independent, too unpredictable. What they didn't know was that Jasmine Cole, the family's black sheep, was also Solera Equity Group, the discreet force quietly reshaping Florida's urban footprint. Speaking of real estate, Simone said, eyes gleaming, did you hear about the buyout on Palmetto Drive? Whole row of shops bought up. They're gutting it, she added, tone dripping with fake pity. Isn't your little project right next door? I kept my expression neutral. I was the buyer, and we weren't gutting anything. Palmetto Row was historic, mosaic tiles, mom-and-pop storefronts, legacy tenants who'd weathered decades. We were restoring it, not erasing it. Really? I said mildly. Hadn't heard. Please, Bryce scoffed. You'd need a trust fund just to get in the room. If you get pushed out, Aunt Lorraine offered sweetly, you're always welcome with us. We have a guest suite, and plenty of connections in the market. I'm fine where I am, I replied, and so was my landlord. Simone laughed lightly. You can't play small forever. Coal used to mean something in this city. It still did, just not in the way they imagined. Among developers, Solera was known for ethical growth and community preservation, the antithesis of their trophy towers and displacement campaigns. Dad set his glass down. Actually, he said, this brunch is also business. The board's concerned about Whitmore Plaza's new owner. Oh, I said, tilting my head. Solera Equity acquired a controlling stake 6 months ago, he said quietly. No one knows who's behind it. Might be foreign money. Bryce nodded, contemplative. Has to be. Those international firms love legacy properties. If only they knew. That foreign investor was right here, wearing second-hand linen and clearance rack flats. And now, Dad continued, they're asking hard questions, especially about financials. Ah yes, questions like why Bryce built a jet ski lease to building operations, or how Simone's spa weekends got approved as strategy sessions. I'm sure it's just procedural, Aunt Lorraine said quickly, fingers twitching at her pearls. The Cole name still means something. That's the problem, Dad said grimly. This group doesn't care about names. They've launched a full-scale audit. The mood shifted, laughter dulled. I saw it then, panic threading beneath the polish. This audit wouldn't rattle a few skeletons. It would collapse their whole house of cards. Maybe Jasmine could help, Simone said, suddenly sweet. She's in real estate. Maybe she knows someone at the firm? And just like that, the family outlier became a potential lifeline. I mostly handle boutique spaces, I said easily, nothing on the scale of Whitmore Plaza. For God's sake, Bryce snapped, you can't lift a finger for your own family? Aunt Lorraine glared at him, but no one else spoke. Dad had already drifted back to his phone, tuned out once more. They still had no idea just how involved I already was, just not in the way they wanted. Tomorrow morning, Solera Equity would issue a formal statement. Effective immediately, Whitmore Plaza was under full operational overhaul. No more hidden budgets. No more cushy deals for cousins and fiancés. No more treating a multi-million-dollar asset like a family allowance. I scanned the penthouse one last time. The gallery art? Purchased using building reserve funds. Those velvet sectionals? Billed at 3 times cost. The lighting fixtures? Installed by Simone's fiancé, his invoices padded to the edge of parody. Anyway, I said, rising and smoothing my linen blouse, some of us have early mornings. Simone gave a brittle laugh. Another fixer-upper tour in Little Havana? I lifted my worn leather tote, inside it. Strategy documents and legal filings worth more than anything in this over-decorated mausoleum of delusion. Oh, Jasmine, Aunt Lorraine called, sweet as spoiled wine. Next time try to look a bit more refined. You're still a Cole. Appearances matter. I smiled as I stepped toward the elevator. Don't worry, I said. Tomorrow, I'll look exactly how the Coles expect. They just didn't know I already ran the empire they thought they inherited. The next morning, I stood in my real office. A sunlit penthouse suite above downtown Miami, quiet, glass-walled, mine. Isla, my assistant, swept in, crisp and poised, placing a cappuccino at my desk. The Whitmore Plaza board's assembled, she said. Your family arrived early. Looks like they're trying to charm the independents. I smirked. I could already picture Bryce smiling too wide, Simone clutching her pearls like strategy beads. All audit packets delivered, Isla continued. We found more than expected. She hesitated. You sure you want to go through with this? There's no going back, I said, staring out at the city I'd helped shape. They need to understand, legacy isn't a shield for corruption. In the glass, my reflection stared back, composed, powerful. Gone were the soft flats and casual linen. Today, I wore a navy Altazara suit, sharp-lined and quiet with authority. The kind of outfit Aunt Lorraine once imagined I'd wear to impress a hedge fund husband. Instead, I'd wear it to dismantle the illusion they mistook for control. The ownership announcement goes live in 20, Isla said, handing me the tablet. Perfect. I grabbed my briefcase. Let's begin. The Whitmore Plaza boardroom fell into a stunned hush as I entered. My family stood huddled at the far end, dressed to intimidate, visibly shaken. Excuse me, this is a closed session, Bryce barked. Who the hell are you? I placed my briefcase at the head of the table. Jasmine Cole, I said calmly. Founder and sole owner of Solera Equity, the firm that now owns this building, and several others your family mishandled. Bryce's face went ashen. Simone's jaw dropped. My father froze, fingers white-knuckling a Montblanc pen. Jasmine, he whispered. I gave him a cordial nod. Good morning. I opened my case and began distributing thick audit folders. Let's take a look at the books, shall we? This is ridiculous, Bryce snapped. You're just... What? I asked. The underachiever? The girl in discount shoes? Simone blinked. But, you show rentals. I work, I said, meeting her gaze, and I built something, quietly, ethically, without a trust fund. Across the table, the independent board members leaned in, watching. These folders detail every misused fund, every inflated contract, every personal expense laundered through building accounts. I slid a final folder to Bryce. Would you like to explain the $2.3 million in renovation costs used to finance your stay, Bart's condo? He went pale. Or Simone, I said, turning a page. Perhaps your fiancé's invoices, charging triple the going rate for standard HVAC work? You'd do this to your own family? Aunt Lorraine gasped. No, I said quietly. You did this to yourselves. I'm just holding up the mirror. My father leaned forward, voice low. Jasmine, we can explain. Don't, I said, raising a hand. You took Grandfather Whitmore's legacy and turned it into a personal credit card. Simone's voice was small, but why hide it? I didn't, I said. I lived simply. You mistook humility for failure. The Palmetto Drive properties, Bryce stammered. You actually live there? I own them, I said. And most of the surrounding block. And no, we're not demolishing anything. Some of us believe success should build communities, not flatten them. A buzz rippled through the room. Phones vibrated on the table. One of the board members looked up from his screen. It's live. Solera's CEO just went public. Lorraine stared at her phone. Named among top ethical developers in the U.S. Historic Preservation, Affordable Housing Initiatives. This is going to ruin us, Simone whispered. No, I said, voice steady. It will finally protect what's left. I stood, straightening my jacket. Effective immediately, Whitmore Plaza will operate under transparent governance. No backdoor contracts, no family favoritism, real leadership. And if we don't agree? Bryce growled. I leaned in slightly, voice calm. Then I send everything in those folders directly to the IRS. Silence. Then, finally, my father's voice, quiet, broken. What do you want? I want you to remember what the Cole name once stood for. I met their eyes one by one. Before all this, I said, steady and clear, Grandfather Whitmore didn't build empires. He built communities. I gathered the audit folders with deliberate calm. You have a choice. Work with me to rebuild that legacy, or find another place to live. A pause, a hint of steel in my voice. I hear there are charming efficiencies in Little Haiti. I turned toward the door. Jasmine, wait, Dad said, stopping me. I was wrong about you. I paused. Then nodded. Yes. You were. The days that followed played out like a prestige drama. Headlines flooded every feed. Miami heiress exposes family empire in stunning corporate coup. Aunt Lorraine quietly resigned from every civic committee she chaired. Her reputation couldn't weather the storm. Simone's fiancé's contracting business shuttered within weeks of the audit's release. But not everything was bitter. Bryce, facing accountability for the first time, enrolled in an urban development certificate program at FIU. Simone began volunteering at a women's transitional shelter in Overtown, telling me it gave her more fulfillment than any gallery opening ever had. Dad asked to shadow my next investment pitch, not as a patriarch reclaiming his throne, but as a student wanting to understand what I'd built. 6 months later, I sat in my Palmetto Drive apartment. Yes, I kept it. I was reviewing our latest quarterly performance. Whitmore Plaza was thriving. Occupancy steady. Vendors paid on time. Local businesses growing. A soft knock pulled me back from the spreadsheets. I opened the door. It was Mom. Jeans. No pearls. No heels. The simplicity startled me. I got your invitation, she said, holding up the card. The courtyard holiday party, I replied. Not really your thing. No, she admitted, eyes sweeping the cozy space. But I'm learning maybe thing isn't the point. She picked up a photo of me at 23, grinning, holding my first real estate license. I never asked, she said gently, why this path? Because I wanted to build something real, I said. Not just buy it and brag about it. And now, she murmured, you control more than all of us combined. I do, I nodded. But control was never the goal. Purpose is. She looked at me for a long moment. Will you teach me? Come tonight, I said. Meet the families who've lived here for decades. Hear their stories. That's where legacy begins. That evening, I stood by the window overlooking downtown Miami. City lights shimmered like quiet applause. In the distance, Whitmore Plaza stood tall, no longer a shrine to excess, but a reclaimed symbol of accountability and care. Below, Palmetto Drive hummed with gentle life. Restored balconies. Tiled murals. Herb gardens planted by tenants. A building once marked for teardown was now a cornerstone of community. My phone buzzed, partnership offers, interview requests, conference invites. Solera equity had become synonymous with values-driven investing. But I kept my calendar light. My mornings slow. I wasn't chasing headlines. I was building something that would outlast them. Because sometimes the person they dismissed becomes the one they must look up to. And the strongest success stories aren't the loudest. They're the ones that endure. A week later, at the Palmetto Drive holiday party, I stood near the garden lights, watching my family slowly adjust to a world they once dismissed. Mom sat beside Mrs. Alvarez, who'd lived here 41 years, listening like it was the first time she'd truly heard someone. Bryce hung lights with Mr. Daniels, our Vietnam vet and longtime resident. Simone handed out tamales, laughing freely with children who had made her sugar ornaments. They were beginning to understand. Real wealth isn't possession. It's preservation. What you uplift. What you honor. Dad joined me near the cocoa stand. You know, he said, your grandfather believed buildings should protect people, not just profit from them. I nodded. I found his old journals, pages about keeping rents fair, helping small businesses. We lost sight of that. He looked at me, not with shame or pride, but recognition. You could have destroyed everything we built. I smiled gently. That was never the point. I wanted to build something that would outlive all of us. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment below. What quiet victories have you claimed when no one was watching? What legacy are you building? Let's talk about the hard work no one claps for. The dreams that take time. The resilience it takes to keep going when no one believes in you, but you. And if you're standing at the edge of your own turning point, don't waste your breath trying to cope. Start small. Start quietly. But start with purpose. Subscribe to the channel. Support this journey. Because there are more stories to come. Stories about second chances, silent strength, and success that doesn't need validation. Legacy isn't inherited, it's created. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming exactly who they said you'd never be. So subscribe. Stay with me. There's more to build.